Welcome back to Berserk's complete story. Today we're going to be covering Berserk chapters 192 and 195. And in the middle of that, we'll be covering 193 and 194. So you're going to get 192 to 195. Now in our last video, we saw Guts continuing his journey with Casca while dealing with his inner demons telling him to leave her. After shielding Casca from an attack of the spirits using his own body, Guts became possessed, which allowed the beast of darkness within him to act out and attempt to kill Casca. Since the incident, Casca has now lost all trust in Guts, fearing that he will soon succeed in finishing what he started. Out in the woods of the Midland Forest, Mule, Wolfflame, and the group of Midland soldiers lay in wait watching as a Kushan convoy passes by. One of the soldiers asks Mule if he's seriously considering attacking the convoy, and Mule shouts back to him, telling him not to show himself as a coward. They will not stand idle as the Kushan take everything and dishonor Midland and its nobility. The soldier then asks, why though? They're not even allowed to set foot inside of the castle. Why should they risk their lives to protect the nobles? Besides, if the rumors are true, up ahead is a base camp led by the hero known as none other than the White Hawk. The rest of the soldiers chime in, stating that they heard Griffith was tortured 3 years ago, but some of his friends went to rescue him. The Kushan begin to move their group of slaves, and Mule shouts that he will not stand for this. Everyone follow him, he's gonna save those people. As Mule begins to run, the rest of the Midland soldiers follow, and as they all charge forward at the convoy, two generals overseeing the convoy notice the attack, and one says that they will welcome these fighters with an attack of their own. The other general shouts to his men to go in and fight. Should they forget how to fight and feel the need to run, they have archers aiming right for them. As the two forces clash, Mule stabs into one of the Kushan soldiers, and as the soldiers fall, he begins to look at the soldier's face. The man he killed was not a Kushan, but he was in fact a Midland soldier. The Kushan general laughs, telling him that they can minimize the loss of their own soldiers if they use their captives as fodder. Not only do they not want to win a battle using their own soldier reserves, but they can instill fear in the opposing armies by killing their own countrymen. The general then motions to the archers, and the archers unleash their arrows into the two fighting groups. Mule watches in disgust as the arrows heading their way begin to land into the backs of their own soldiers, asking how can they fire against themselves. Next, the general orders for the cavalry to finish killing the Midlanders, and just as the horses get close, the arrows fire into the horses' heads, and then they shoot off the riders' heads. Mule asks what's going on, where did those arrows even come from, and as he looks back, he sees a small group off in the distance and a man firing 5 arrows at a time from a demonic-looking bow. Just then, the soldiers from Griffith's new band of Hawk begin to ride with their lances, impaling any standing Kushans. The Kushan general shouts that it's only a handful of knights versus their 500. Fight back and show them the power of the Kushan cavalry army. Suddenly, there's a bellowing battle cry, stopping the entire battlefield, and everyone begins to look around to see where it came from. A second group of soldiers ride over the hills, led by none other than Zod, and they head straight for the Kushan cavalry. Zod runs through the forces, shredding anyone close, and those left standing are killed off by the demonic infantry. The Kushan general tells his people that they can still win this, and then an explosion goes off, knocking the soldiers away. Through the smoke, Grenbeld walks out, towering over even the soldiers on horseback. As Griffith's forces begin to easily take down everyone, the Kushan general sees a banner off in the distance coming for them. Mule sees it as well, and he shouts, that's it, the banner of the flying sword, it's Griffith! And Griffith then rides his horse, leaping over the crowds as they all watch the return of the White Hawk. Mule watches Griffith continue on, stating that there's no doubt about it, that is Midland's resistance, the Band of the Hawk, and leading them is Sir Griffith. He tells his men to follow them to help, and then he sees an image of falling arrows, and he tells everyone to stop. They look in the path that everyone was about to walk into, and the wave of arrows begins to hit the ground. And Mule asks, how did he just see that? He looks around and he notices a small unit off to the side, and with them is a young girl watching the fight. The young girl then telepathically shows Griffith the flow of the fight, and with that, Griffith then jumps over all of the soldiers. As he clears a path through the center of the battlefield, he charges straight towards the general. As he passes, there's a white flash, and then the general's head flies off. He stops pulling up his visor, and he shouts back to his men, finish off the remaining soldiers all at once. All of the Midlanders cheer, and they begin picking off the fleeing soldiers, and as Griffith takes off his helmet, he looks back and he sees Mule. Over in the forest, the second general asks himself, how did this even happen? How did a small unit of Midlanders take out their army? But as the Kushans retreat, they start to see the shadows in the forest blocking their path, and then over their heads, Roxas appears behind the general, telling him that it's too early to go back. You haven't seen blood yet. The walking shadows start to show their teeth, and they begin to growl, and then the forest is filled with the screams of the Kushan soldiers. A short while later after the battle, Mule walks through the encampment that Griffith has set up, telling him that this is incredible. All of these men and women, elderly and children, they are all smiling, not even knowing of the fight. But as he thinks about it, he hears a voice telling him that it's because of Sir Griffith, and then Mule sees the young girl from before. She goes on saying that it is because of Sir Griffith that they can laugh and smile. She then says that her name is Sana, and welcome to the Band of Hawk. Sana continues saying that they want to reassemble the legendary Band of Hawk since they do have their hawk after all. Sana walks off as she tells Mule to come. Wouldn't he like to meet Sir Griffith? Mule quickly follows along, and soon the two of them begin to walk through the forest, and Mule asks, "Isn't this place dangerous?" Sana laughs it off, telling him that she can hold his hand if he would like, but soon the light begins to fade. As Mule looks around, he sees the shadows of the soldiers, and they all seem different. Mule takes a closer look and says that these men, they are all beasts. Sana says that actually he saw them fighting with them earlier, though many people call them evil soldiers. Mule's eyes frantically start to look around, and then he notices a group of soldiers eating a goat. Mule is startled, and Sana says that it's actually better than before because all they had before was the Kushan prisoners to eat. And as she finishes her sentence, one of the beasts grabs Sana by the leg and she shouts, "Hey!" The beasts all look closely at her, asking if she came alone, and she calmly tells them no. Now please, let her go. Mule reaches for his sword, but before he can draw it, another beast grabs him by the head, holding him back. The beast holding Sana begins to lick her face, saying that it's been a while since he tasted human meat, and Sana says that he better stop before she tells Sir Griffith. The beast nervously says, "Please, don't do that." But before he can put her down, Grenbeld grips down on the beast's wrist. The beast tries to explain, and Grenbeld crushes his wrist, catching Sana before she can hit the ground. Suddenly, an arrow shoots through the beast's arm, holding Mule, and he is let go. Off in the distance, Irvine sits in a tree smiling, and Grenbeld tells the beast that these people are their commander's quests. If they touch them again, they will have to deal with them. Grenbeld then turns back to Sana, saying that though she is the Hawk's medium, she should not be walking around without an escort. They should hurry along. Griffith is waiting. Sana and Mule head out, and Sana whispers to the beast that grabbed her, telling it, "Don't worry, she'll bring back a corpse for him to eat soon." He asks, "Really?" And Grenbeld shouts to Sana, and everyone quickly hurries along. The two walk along the forest into the open field as Mule tries to understand what he just saw, and then he is stopped as Zod stands in his way. Sana tells him it's all right. She brought Sir Griffith his guest, and that's when Mule sees him. Griffith leans in on a log as the spirits float and dance around, and Mule tries to come up with the words to say. But Sana tells him that those are the spirits of those who died in the battle, and it's after the nightfall that they come out and gather around Griffith. Mule then sees men and women gathered around Griffith praying, and he asks, "What are they?" Sana tells him that they have all come to say their goodbyes. Then the spirits start to float towards people. One floats down to a woman and a child, and then an image of a man appears as the child calls out for his father. The spirit reaches out, telling them to take care, and then it fades into the group of spirits surrounding Griffith. A brilliant, bright light goes off, and the spirits all begin to swirl together, and then they begin to fade into the night. Sana says that it is done as she runs up to Griffith, hugging him. Griffith pats her on the head, stating that she did a good job today, and she laughs, telling him it was no problem. It's like her powers get stronger when she's closer to him. Mule starts to walk up, and then he asks, "Where did all of those lights go?" Griffith looks at the starry sky, and he tells them that they are now in a place where they will become one. Mule then asks, "Heaven?" And Griffith says, "You will eventually find out. It will happen to everyone." He gets up from the log, and he then tells Mule that he welcomes him here. He is Griffith, the leader of the Band of the Hawk. Mule drops to his knee, telling him that he apologizes for the delay. His name is Mule Wolfflame, son of Baragara Wolfflame. His words cannot express his gratitude for his men being saved today. Griffith says that he offers his thanks to the people of Loomis for the food that they have supplied, and it will be enough for them to fight for the next several months. But as Mule listens, he feels Griffith's soft and overwhelming voice, and he begins to cry. Mule lowers his head, offering a sword, telling him please accept his sword. But in his mind, he asks himself why he's even doing this. He just met this man. Griffith takes the weapon and he holds it above Mule's shoulders, allowing him to join the Band of the Hawk. And as this takes place, a group of Kushan assassins wait in the woods, and after one dips the tip of the arrow into the poison, he draws it back on his bow. Before the arrow is released, Roxas appears behind them, telling them to be quiet. Don't spoil this moment. A few moments later, the bushes begin to rustle and Zod stands up, knowing what happened. Back in the field, Mule takes his sword back and he looks at Griffith and he feels a premonition. What he is about to witness won't just be another conflict recorded in history. It's going to be something legendary. And that concludes chapter 195. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date as to what is happening on Berserk. We will eventually catch entirely up on this story. And you can follow us on Twitter at Manghistorian. I will see you next time right here.